Hello, everyone. Today I want to talk about being a scapegoat child, and my guess is if you clicked on this video, you probably were a scapegoat child too. So, what is a scapegoat child? Well, a scapegoat child is one or more children in the family. In my case, I was the only one that a mother with narcissism selects to cast all of the blame and all of their bad feelings about their own selves onto. Things go wrong in every family. There's always going to be arguments, there's going to be disagreements. Well, a narcissist, they're not tolerant of carrying any responsibility or any blame, so they need somewhere or someone to cast it on. And in my family, I was chosen for that. The other children in the family are likely her golden children, and narcissist mothers see these children truly as extensions of their own selves, and so they cast a lot of their expectations of themselves onto those golden children. Basically, in their minds, these children can't do anything wrong. We're going to talk more deeply about this in another episode because it really deserves an episode in and of itself. I have a brother and a sister, and my sister is a couple years older than me, but my brother wasn't born till I was almost 10 years old. So, as I talk about my childhood on this channel, a lot of times I'm only going to be referring to my sister because my brother wasn't around during those younger years. I spent my childhood carrying the blame for almost everything that went wrong with my mother or my sister. Anytime my sister and I got an argument or a disagreement, my mom always took my sister's side and would talk to me like they just have to put up with so much from me. My sister would not be punished for things that I was punished for. I remember one specific memory. I had talked back to my mom because I was angry, as kids will do sometimes. And my mom screamed at me and just talked to me like I was the most terrible daughter ever. And then a couple hours later, my sister did the exact same thing. She talked back to my mom using almost the same words I'd used. And my mom just brushed it off and didn't even react. And I remember being so confused. Like, why wasn't she upset at her? And I guess if that had only happened once or twice, what's the big deal? No parent is perfect, but it was ongoing like that. I just remember being so confused as a child and wondering what was wrong with me, that no one could seem to tolerate any time I made a mistake. My sister was allowed to brag about how she never got in trouble and I was always in trouble. She would say insulting things to me like, everybody in this family does what they're supposed to do except you. And then my mom would be in the background going, you tell her. I just bore the blame for so many problems in our family when I was like 7 years old. And I really thought there was something deeply, seriously wrong with me. When I was 19, I was dating someone. We dated for a little over a year, and it's a long story, but basically he went on a 2-hour drive with her to Chicago to see me while I was away. And he told me later that the entire way there, the whole 2 hours, all she did was talk badly about me and seemed to be warning him of what he'd be getting into if this turned into marriage and he had to live with me his entire life. She just went on about how, I just never feel loved. It's never enough. I'm always asking for more. And basically made it sound like marrying me would be a lifetime of struggle, of despair, of trying to please me and never being able to. He was really angry. And I just remember feeling so hurt that behind my back, my mom would speak so badly about me and actually felt the need to warn others that if they had me in their lives, I would just cause them so many problems. Another friend of mine told me that my mom once said to her, thank you so much for being friends with her. I know it's so hard. I really appreciate that you do this for her. I can understand now. My mom saw me in such a negative light. She didn't think I deserved boyfriends or dating relationships or even friends, that everyone who was in my life was doing this out of some kind of kindness or pity toward me. I have had 3 serious dating relationships in my life, and all of them were extremely unhealthy, by the way, but that's something to talk about in another episode. None of them were with healthy people. And so, inevitably, each relationship eventually fell apart, and after each of them ended, my mom sided with my ex all 3 times, and she even got angry at me for destroying a relationship with a good man, supposedly. In one relationship, the guy literally cheated on me, and my mom still thought he was wonderful and that the whole thing was my fault. I called her so upset and crying and so hurt. Right after the breakup, I was so devastated. And she let out the most aggravated sigh and talked to me like I'd screwed it all up yet again, and so he left. My mother has treated me this way my entire life. I don't remember it ever being different. As an adult, my sister and brother and I all lived in the same city, and my mom lived about 2 hours away from each of us. And she would visit my brother and my sister over and over and over. And I truly mean like 30 or more times she would visit each of them before she'd visit me even once. Anytime I was coming to visit her, she'd always warn me she's got lots of things to do. She's going to be busy. She's not going to have any time to do anything. Or her house is a mess. She's got to clean. She's got all these things she's got to do. But when my sister or brother were coming to visit, she had her schedule cleared, the whole house would be clean in preparation for them, and she'd be up for doing anything. When I came to town, it'd be, I just don't have time. I'm a recluse. I just want to stay home. I don't have time to do anything. But when they would come to town, it was always, I'm just along for the ride. We'll go do whatever you want to do. It's been like this my entire life. And I understand now, no matter what I do, my mother will always, always see me this way and treat me this way, which is why I ultimately decided to go no contact. A big question I've had, and I know I'll never have an answer for this, is why did she pick me? Why not my sister? There's 2 possibilities I've thought about, but I'll never really know. One is I take after her dad a lot. My facial features are very similar to him. I have similar interests. He loved science and I love science. And my grandfather was a very abusive man. He had a problem with alcoholism. I'm pretty sure he was a type of parent that does what's called a role reversal. And that was basically that he expected my mom to mother him rather than for him to parent her. And this was very traumatic to my mother, as you can imagine, and really may be what caused her to develop covert narcissism. And maybe me coming into the world as I got older and taking on his eyes and his nose and just his general facial features, that just caused her to feel so uncomfortable that all of her bad feelings about her father were then experienced with me. And so then I just sort of, over those first few years, transformed into her scapegoat child. It could also be my mom has a sister that she speaks of in very jealous ways at times. I'm pretty sure that my aunt was my grandpa's scapegoat child, and he mistreated her a lot in different ways than he did my mom. And so my grandmother saw that and kind of took her under her wing, and I think my mom saw those efforts of my grandmother and was just very jealous. She speaks today about how much my aunt was favored more than her, but my grandma even told her once that she did that because of how cruel my grandfather was to my aunt. And she felt like she had to, compensate for that with some favoritism. But my mom speaks with such anger about that. And I also look a lot like my aunt. My goodness, when you see a picture of my aunt as a child next to me as a child, we could practically be twins. And so it could be her negative feelings about her sister and that favoritism and that jealousy, or it could be just something completely different. I'll never get an answer. My mom would never admit that she has this problem and that she's done this to me. So, narcissists don't have any ability to self-reflect. So she'd never be able to reflect on herself and figure out why she did this. So, unfortunately, if you're a scapegoat child, you're in the same boat. You're never going to get an answer. But I think trying to figure it out in the way I did can be helpful, because it shows this. It wasn't actually me, and it wasn't actually you. It's not my fault that my facial features are like my grandfather or like my aunt. These are just random things that say nothing about my value as a person. And whatever it was about you that caused your mother to choose you as the scapegoat child has nothing to do with what kind of a person you are, with you having value, with you having beauty. It has nothing to do with that. Now, you may think, well, I've had these behaviors my siblings didn't have, and so maybe that's why. Very likely those behaviors were because you were chosen as the scapegoat child. They were not the reason you were chosen as a scapegoat child. Of course we had issues. You can't grow up being treated that way and just be unaffected by it. It's not your fault. It was never your fault. It was caused by a mother who is suffering from a mental disorder for which there is no cure. But my fault or not, obviously it affected me very deeply as a child. I just remember feeling so alone. I felt like I was separate from the rest of the people in our household. Like, there was my family, my mom, my dad, my sister, and eventually my brother. And they were the family. And then there was me, this person that lived in the house that everyone wished didn't. Like, they were on the mainland, and I was just alone on this island over here. I never really felt like I was a true part of my family. For as far back in my childhood as I can remember, I believed that my parents wished I had never been born. Sometimes I thought maybe I should just run away so everybody could be free from me. No matter how hard I tried, and boy did I try, I could just never get it right and be accepted by them. And this affected me outside of our home as well. My social skills were very poor, so I was bullied relentlessly at school and in my neighborhood. And it affected me as an adult too. This set me up for a lifetime of relationships with people who mistreat me because it had just become so normalized, so expected. I just couldn't see it, and I just so longed for acceptance. I would take it from anybody, even if they were awful to me. I felt terrible about myself, and I've spent decades seeing myself as a burden to people. When I would meet someone who was healthy and just, living normally, I would shy away because I felt like there's no way they'd want to be friends with me. I didn't even really realize it. All of these things were happening more on a subconscious level. But deep down, I was convinced no one would really like me and enjoy being around me. I have lived with so much fear, and it was really only about a little over a year ago that I came to see how fearful I am in relationships. That has affected me so much that I'm going to dedicate an entire episode just to that. So, how do we cope? Well, here's a perspective that will sound odd at first. But really, us scapegoat children, we're the lucky ones. And I mean, obviously we're unlucky in that we have narcissistic mothers. That was very unlucky. But as scapegoat children, things are so bad for us that it's inevitable that at some point we come to realize what's going on, and then we can focus on healing and getting better. Golden children, even though they're not treated badly in the way that we are, they are mistreated. It's just so much more subtle. It's so much more manipulative and deceptive. It's very, very rare that a golden child will ever really come to fully grasp how their narcissistic mother affected them. And they can be under that influence for their entire lives and never be free from it. And so I say we're lucky in the sense that because we were chosen as the scapegoat child, we're so much more likely to be able to heal, to be free from it all, and to reclaim our lives and ourselves. Another idea to reflect on is to see that all the blame, all the terrible things that have been said about us, the source of that is not me. It's not you. It's not us. It is because of a mental disorder our mothers have, and it's a mental disorder for which there is no treatment or cure. Now, coming to realize this on a deep level where it truly becomes a part of your full understanding, that takes a long time. You may hear this and agree in your mind to some degree, but it takes a lot of practice and it takes a lot of work to really bring that into who you are. I'm still working on that. I'm definitely a lot better than I was, but it's still going to take a long time. And it's been about a year and a half that I've been working on reflecting on all of this. If it can give you some assurance and just some encouragement to be patient with yourself, give yourself some grace. It took years of brainwashing to implant these wrong ideas into your head, and you're not going to get rid of them right away. It takes time. I have reached the point where all people who don't treat me well, everyone in my life who blames me for any problems, who mistreats me on a regular basis, I removed them from my life, including my mother. It's impossible to heal completely from all of this while we're still actively being treated this way. I made a determination that I will never, ever be anyone's scapegoat ever again. And I've been other scapegoats in other relationships as well. Relationships where everything was blamed on me and I was never listened to. I'm not going to be that for anyone ever again. I don't care who it is. I won't do it. I don't deserve that kind of treatment. And listen to me, you do not deserve it either. We can work on developing healthy relationships. This also takes a long time and a lot of practice. I'm still working on it. I'm pushing through those fears. I'm being honest in my relationships about what I'm struggling with, and I ask people to let me know when I'm doing a specific behavior I'm trying to stop, because it can be done unconsciously. I'll discuss those behaviors I'm working on in another episode, but they're common among scapegoat children. Spend some time every day reflecting on good things about yourself. Start a new hobby or start some new habits. Push through the fear and self-doubt. It's so very hard at first, but when you do and you see yourself succeed, you'll slowly begin to heal and let go of those false perceptions of yourself. Something else you can do that might sound silly on the surface, but it really isn't because it does help. That child you used to be that lived with so much pain, who so desperately longed for love and to be seen and heard and accepted, those memories are within you. They're a part of you because that was you. You're older now, but that child is still there inside you, and you now have the capacity to be who that child needed. So be that for her. Close your eyes and see yourself as a child and say, I know no one was there for you, but I'm here for you now. You're not alone. I'm here. And I love you. And I accept you exactly the way you are. You're giving those memories, that person who is still a part of you, healing. And you're giving her what she needed and didn't get to have. That is healing in and of itself, but it also shows you that you are not so problematic. You can provide love, care, and healing. And this realization empowers you to engage in self-love and to engage in healthy relationships with other people. It gives you a healing space for when that pain and those memories come to the surface. And do let them surface. Yes, it will really hurt. When I first started doing this and thinking about memories I had really long pushed down, I was a wreck for a while emotionally. But I took that pain and I moved it to that space where I could be the caretaker of myself as a child. This lonely, desperate child in so much pain finally has someone to love and care for her. I have me, and you have yourself. Give it some time, and you can transform those memories into scars rather than open wounds. They'll always be there. I don't know if we'll ever 100% heal, but we can become happy. We can have lives that are not full of pain, and we'll reach a point where those old wounds, they just don't affect us and hurt us so much. And be patient with yourself. Like I said, all the damage done to us occurred over the course of years, and so you're not going to recover from it all in a matter of weeks. But we can recover. You are not defective. You are not broken. You are not a burden to others. You are not unlikable. You are not unlovable. You're not some cautionary tale. You have wonderful gifts to share with the world. And there are people out there who will benefit from those gifts and appreciate them. They'll benefit from you and appreciate you. I recently wrote a poem, and I'd like to read that to you now. In the shadows of a narcissist's gaze, a scapegoat child stood, lost in a tangled maze. Don't fear, dear heart, for there is a way to rise above the darkness and embrace the light of day. A journey of healing, a path to reclaim. There is strength within you. You can overcome the pain. The wounds may linger, the scars may stay, but believe in yourself. Let healing find its way. You are not a burden, nor a pawn in a game. You are not defined by the echoes of another's shame. In the garden of self-love, plant seeds anew. Watered with courage, watch the strength in you accrue. No longer a puppet, nor a captive of fear. Embrace the truth that you are meant to persevere. The echoes of hurtful words your mother would so often spew, they cannot drown out the resilient spirit that is uniquely you. Believe in the beauty that lies within, a survivor's tale, a journey to begin. For in the depths of despair, a phoenix takes flight. Soar high, dear soul, move into the light. In the mirror, see not the reflection of the past, but a warrior rising, breaking free at last. The scars may tell stories, but so does your smile, a testament to strength, a journey worth the while. To those who are walking this challenging road, know most of all, you are not alone. Together, we walk toward healing, hand in hand, breaking free from the shadows. In power, we stand. So let this be an anthem, a song of rebirth, a starting over, a release from the curse. On the path of healing, take a bold chance, for you, my friend, are meant to thrive and to dance. I'll be talking a lot more about this path to healing, and I truly hope the information will help you on your own journey. We can heal together and slowly release the past. We can reclaim our lives and ourselves. I'll see you next week. To all my fellow survivors out there, you are worthy, you are valuable, and you are beautiful, whether your mom sees that or not.